Hey everybody, I'm Sean and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, please like, share, subscribe. And if you're a returning viewer, I do appreciate you coming back. Today, this video is going to be done in two different parts. First, I'm going to show you how I stitch out this cap. It's a baby cap by Rabbit Skin, and I am going to use my Tajima Sai for this. Now, it's the same method I would use to stitch out a beanie, with the stitching on the top. I use the same method, and I do have a single needle video showing how a beanie was stitched out using the single needle. It would essentially be done the same way. And so then I'm going to show you how I stitched out this onesie for the baby. Now, look, they say that it's not a onesie. It's a one-piece bodysuit, a baby bodysuit, okay? Got to get it right because this is by Rabbit Skin, not Gerber. And they say this is a newborn, kind of big to me for a newborn, but I don't know. My baby is 12 and maybe newborns are getting bigger. So anyways, I'm just going to show you how I stitch these out, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, guys, so for this project, I'm going to be using my 5.5 Mighty Hoop. I'm also, just to help me hoop this item a little bit more evenly, I'm going to be using oh my goodness, I'm having a brain freeze, the adjustable freestyle fixture. This one is the 4.25 by 13 inch, which means it accommodates that size frame, and that the 13.25 by 13 inches a long sleeve hoop that's designed for the bigger machines. But I found that this device that's attached to the portable, what is it called, the portable mounting base, it's attached to it. I found that this works great for the smaller Mighty hoops when you need to hoop something and try to get it as even as possible. So we're going to use this today. I'm going to separate this. Oh, and I forgot, we are going to be using some fusible no-show mesh as well as the actual hat. And I have tape on this hat, as you see, because I wanted to make sure I had the center outer part of the hat marked, and you'll see why in just a few moments. So I've got the Mighty hoops separated. I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to open up the magnets, which will hold down the stabilizer. Going to put this in here and close it back down. And that shouldn't matter, but I'm just going to tuck it just to keep everything as even as possible tension-wise. And let's see here. Now, we have this on here. I'm going to take the hat, and I've got to pay attention to which way it's going, but this part is going to come towards me. So I need to make sure that the hat is going to be stitching so that it's this way, because this is the part that's going to be facing the hoop, okay? And so, yes, I'm going to open it up, or flip it inside out, I should say. This is the inside. And so now this truly is the inside, but this is the part that faces outside. So I know that this is going to be the top of the kid's name, okay? The baby's name. And I'm going to slide this on here. And it does stretch it just a little bit, but not anything terribly to where it doesn't, work for the kid's head. And so I'll put that in there, making sure that I do have enough space, because that's going to be the top. And I always have to remind myself that this is the top of the name. I did stitch the name out in advance just to make sure it worked. His name is Saint, and it's going to be right about there. But then when it's flipped, it's going to look right. Okay. So we have the hat on here, and it is a little bit more than midway down, and I'm going to hoop it. And so now I'm just going to slide it off of here, and we're going to go to the machine, okay? I am going to leave that tape there just for a moment, And let me get over here. Okay, so we're over here or back here. We just literally turned around to the machine, and I've got my tape still in place just so that I could keep a eye on that center of the cap. Now, the Tajima Sai, its arm is a little smaller than the arm of the Bai and some of the other bigger machines. So I'm not really worried about the hat being stretched out too much from it going in there, because the hat's going to have a little bit of stretch to it anyways. So I'm going to put this in here. And if you are concerned about maybe the hat getting caught up in there, you could certainly just kind of pull it back lightly without stretching it too hard and tape it down with some painter's tape or something to keep it out of the way. So I have it on here. I do have the right color thread that I want to use, but I don't have it set up. It looks like it's going to be blue thread being stitched, but it's actually a brown. And so let me get you a little bit closer here, because I do need to go and change the orientation of this design and get it set up so that it will stitch where it needs to be stitching at. So it's on for thread needle number one. Needle number one is my brown thread back here. And I'm going to move it forward. It's on tubular one because that's where I leave it at. And it's not oriented right. So the words, his name, Saint, it is facing upside down. So I need to flip it around. Okay, there we go. So now it's going to stitch in the orientation that it needs to be stitched. But for this, because I have a very small margin of error, I am going to trace this based off the top of the design, the top center of the design. So now in this little grid here, the top center is lit up because that's where I'm going to base my tracing off of, where the little laser hair, the laser marks where it goes down at. So got it there. I'm going to hit set. Now I need to use these arrows to move the design, or actually to move the frames, so that these crosshairs are at the top of the design. Okay. Oh, wrong way. So that is like just making it to the top. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, you can kind of see that. And so I'm going to just move that tape. I know it's not 100% as far as a perfect accuracy, but I always remind people, when you are doing things handmade in any capacity, nothing's ever going to be picture perfect. So now I have the laser hairs or the crosshairs where I want it to be. I'm going to go through and trace just to make sure. Well, I'm saying to make sure, really it's because I have to, because the machine's always going to trace before it starts stitching a design for the first time. But I'm going to trace, and I want to be aware of where those crosshairs are going to be at, because that will tell me if I have enough space for the design to stitch. And it's going to come in close, but I do believe we will be okay. Okay, and so now I'm just going to press start, and fingers crossed that it works. I think I could have gone up a little higher, but we'll see. And this is not too bad of a stitch out. It's 2,226 stitches. So we'll be done in just a couple of minutes. I am only running at 600 right now. And I'm just peeking under here just to make sure that hat didn't pop up and start stitching itself to each other. It didn't stitch together. So it's still good. And I'm thinking I may have made the name a little too big for the hat, but we'll see. I'll send pictures to her and let her decide if that is what she likes or not. Alrighty, so it is all stitched up, and nope, we don't need to stitch it again. This font, by the way, is called Orange Blossom by Stitchtopia. And you know, I could have made this look a little bit better by using some water-soluble stabilizer behind it just to keep the stitches from sinking. I truly did not think that the stitches would sink that much, but for the next cap, I will definitely use some water-soluble stabilizer behind it to keep the stitches as crisp as possible. So that is how it looks, and we'll go ahead and get it off of the hoop. Okay, so we are back over here to the table, and I'm going to just unhoop this and trim it a little bit. Now, technically, this is the outside of the hat, and it looks like it's stitched on the wrong side right now, but I promise you it's not stitched on the wrong side, and you'll see. Let me scoot that over. And I like these little scissors, y'all. And I did forget to tell you, when I put the stabilizer on the hoop, I did hoop it so that that bumpy side is facing up against the fabric so that it could be pressed down and adhere to the back side. And that way your stitches aren't shifting. You know, whether it's necessary is debatable. You will find that some projects I don't use the fusible, but I really want the name to stay as well positioned as possible. And just trying to carefully trim this. Okay. I do want a little bit on the outside of the name. I just don't want it to be a whole lot, and I don't want it to be super messy. So what I'll do is I'll go back and I'll press this down, and then I will flip it and get that straightened up. Now it is a little bit more of a cuff than you would normally have. And I guess it did stretch just a little bit, but I don't think it stretched out terribly. I will go over it with a lint brush when it's all finished. But I forgot to plug my iron in. So the last thing that I will do with this is I'm going to press the back side of it, and I'll just wait until I get the onesie done. Or is it a onesie? It's by Rabbit Skin. It's a bodysuit, the baby bodysuit. So I will get that stuff set up next, and I'll see you in the next clip. Okay, so now we are going to get ready to stitch the onesie. This is the same brand, Rabbit Skins, and it's the same color as the baby cap. And so for this, we're still going to use the adjustable, the freestyle and the portable base. And for this, we're going to use the 6x9 mighty hoop. Now, we're using the Tajima Sai, and we don't have 9 inches this way on the Tajima Sai. So this is where I said in another video that you have to trace your designs to be sure that everything is fitting and you're accommodating things right, okay? What I'm going to do is make sure that this part that sticks out faces away from the machine. And this is going to be the top of the design. I'm going to put the onesie on it. I'm going to hoop the onesie so that the bottom is facing the machine, and this will be the top up here, okay? And so before we do any of that, I've got to adjust this. So there are 2 little screws on the bottom that you'll unscrew so that you can adjust it, and that allows it to slide up and down. So I'm going to take the frame apart, and I'm going to just use the bottom part of the frame because this is what we need on the base, and I'm going to use this to measure exactly where I need it to be. I'm going to hold this in place and then tighten it up. I think I'm tightening it up. Yeah, tighten it up so that it will stay in place. Now I'll open up these magnet holders, and I'm going to be using the no-show fusible mesh again, the stabilizer, with the bumpy part facing the fabric. Now I'm going to put it this way. Fold that under a little bit. Clamp that down, and I'll clamp that down. And just so that, because I'm not sure if you can see that or not, but it just literally clamps down, okay? And holds it in place. So now, I did measure the placement where I want the design to fall at on this onesie. And I want the design to fall about 1 inch below the neckline. And I don't know if okay, I did measure it. So what I did was, so I could probably go a little bit lower and move my tape down just a little bit, because where the design is going to fall will be just below the tape. So when I get my crosshairs going, I will make sure that the laser lines up just below that, okay? And so as far as getting everything centered, you can fold your item in half, make sure everything is even. And then you could press it down so that you'll have a nice crease right there to show the center line. And sometimes that little finger press stays in place as well. So So now I am going to get this hooped. With the bottom of the onesie going in first. And I will have to stretch it just a tad bit here and pull it down. We might be pressing it as far as space, but we'll see. So what I would like to do, just because I didn't like the way the threads did sink into the hat a little bit, I want to prevent that with the onesie, or the, what is it called? A jumper is what they're calling, or bodysuit, a baby bodysuit. I'm going to clip this, a little bit of water soluble stabilizer, and I'm going to lay it just in the area where it should be stitching at. And I'm going to hoop it. I will straighten out the water soluble, and I'll loosen it up just a little bit so that I can get this off. But I have to be mindful that the onesie is down under here. So I need to lift it up easy so I'm not stretching and tearing it up. And it tends to go back down in that little groove, but okay. It likes to get stuck in there. It's got some strength. And I'm just kind of trying to inch it up so that I'm not pulling too much. Okay. And so that's what the back side is looking like. And now we're going to take it back to the machine. Well, back to the machine. We're going to take it to the machine and see if we could get the stitches to look a little bit better than the actual hat looked. And I think we're going to go a little bit lower than we really want it to be, but we'll stitch it and we'll see how it comes out, okay? Okay, so going to make sure that it goes in here. And now this little metal bar that's under here, that is actually for the cap driver. When I was trying to do a cap one time, I put it on there and I just realized I don't have to take it off for this particular machine. And so what I do is I make sure the item is underneath the arm, but above this little spindle for the caps, because I don't want anything to get all choked up under there. And then I do try to make sure that nothing accidentally got eased up under the actual frame. Okay. And nothing's flopping over it. So we've got our colors set up already. And it is reversed. So, okay, I don't know what that meant. So it says tracing is going to be executed. We'll see how well and how far up it's going to trace. Now I'm basing this trace off technically the bottom of the design, but since the onesie is upside down, it's really the top of the design. And I would like to see if I could get this moved a little bit further, closer to the top. Okay, that would be perfect if I could get it there. And let's go back and we're going to trace again to see if that works. It might be a matter of it's too far as the axes are concerned, and it'll give me an error code if it is too far out of bounds for what it's capable of stitching as far as the stitch field. I think we are good. So we are going to go ahead and press start, and it's going to stitch the big S first, which will go in a gold color, and then the name Saint is going to go across the bottom in that brown, the same brown that the cap was in. Let's see here. And you'll notice that it skips a couple of pieces of the design. And that is because I set this design up with pre-made fonts, and I used Embroidery Essentials to merge the fonts together. So there's a feature where it will omit the hidden stitches so that there's less bulk, so that everything is as even and flat as possible when it's stitched out. I absolutely love that feature. At first, I didn't understand how it was doing it, or what it was doing, and I was like, oh, parts of the design is missing. But then I realized it is that remove hidden stitches, and absolutely love it. So we're going to just let this stitch on out. There are 8,256 stitches. This particular font, it's the same font name from Stitchtopia. It's called Orange Blossom, and she has this font in so many sizes. Don't quote me, but I know for the cap I used a 1-inch font. And then for the bigger sizes, I think this font goes up to 6 or 7 inches tall. So you can actually, and if I bought it in 2 halves, it was like the small ones were in one file, and then I purchased the bigger file as well. And so you could literally do so much with it. And so that was just the beginning of the satin stitches, and now it's coming back around and actually doing the final cover of those satin stitches. And I hope I have enough thread in my bobbin because I forgot to check. Alrighty, so I think I ran out of bobbin thread. I knew something would happen here. And let's see here. it's time for me to order some more because this machine truly only likes this NEB embroidery thread. So I'm going to hit reset. I'm going to hit those scissors. And I do have to hold it for like 3 seconds. And oh, I think I could change this okay without it having to come completely off. No, there's plenty of bobbin thread. So what happened here? Alrighty, I'm going to change this anyway since I have it out. I'm going to pull this back. And this here, you know, pulling this here up helps keep it in place while you're putting it in there, if you're able to manage to hold it like that. Some people didn't realize that it does that, but that is just something I knew from sewing with old machines that had the bobbin on the side. So now I'm going to come over to this side of the machine so that I can, sorry about all this moving things around. See what is going on. Okay. I do see what's going on. And you know, it's just one of those things. The thread is off track again. I don't know why this happens so much lately. But this needs to be wrapped around that little peg. And I'm just literally following the thread path all the way just to make sure that everything is in its place, because there is a place for everything. That's going through there. That goes been around through there. And I think I should be good. We'll find out in just a few moments. And what I'll do now, because I want to make sure that I don't want to have any stitches missed. So I'm going to go back about 30 stitches just to make sure. And I think it's going to be okay. I think so. I hope so. Alrighty, it's rounding up the bottom of that S. Ooh, that's a big old S for that baby's chest. But I did pre-stitch it just to see how big it would be against the onesie. And it looked good, but now I'm just like, I wonder if that was too big. And so it switched to the brown. And you can kind of see where it went through, well, where it's going through, and it's going to fill in the parts that were actually skipped, where it was leaving parts of the design out with that remove hidden stitches from Embroidery Essentials. I think it's Essentials part. I don't know which feature that is a part of, because I have a couple of the modules. Let me look back and see. I don't want to be telling you all the wrong stuff. It is part of the Essentials module. So we only have about 2,000 more stitches left in this. Like I said, the overall jumper, whatever you call it, is the bodysuit, the baby bodysuit. It is by Rabbit Skin, and I got these from S&S Activewear. You do have to have a sales tax ID to create an account with them, but you can buy these from Shirt Space, I think, Jiffy Shirt, and I'm sure you can find them on Amazon as well. So the thread that I'm using for the gold is by Nubro Thread. I've used that particular thread not a few times, I've used it many times for that gold, and it holds up pretty good. And then the brown, is it Raw Anton? Oh, don't give me the line. I don't know what the brand is, because I only bought it one time, and I bought that brown by accident. And she just happened to like that combination with the brown and the gold, because normally I would use either I think I have that color in coats, but no, I don't have that color in coats. Sorry, I'm just looking around at my threads, and I don't think I have that color in any other brand or anything close to it. It is. It's Anton Robinson is what this brand is. For the brown thread that's being stitched right now. And I've had it for a while. Never really needed it. We are almost done with this one. And sorry, I went a little quiet on y'all, but I was just sitting there like, what else do I need to get done tonight? Not embroidery wise, just stuff in the house. Alrighty, and so no, we don't need to stitch that over again. Let's slide over here, and this is how it is looking. Not too bad, I don't think. I am glad that I used the water soluble down there because it does seem to make the stitches look a lot better. And so I'm going to take this to the table and we're going to get it off the hoop and cleaned up. Okay, so we're back at the table now. I did get my little mini ironing board out since I no longer have the ironing cloth on the table. I'm going to unhoop, take this off of the hoop, set that there, and I'm going to slide this out. And I'm just going to fasten those together and sit that where I store my hoops at. So I did forget to take that tape off. I'm glad it didn't get stitched in place. And we're going to take the water soluble stabilizer off. And this isn't really too bad to take off because the spaces are really big. So I'm not worried about like, oh, do I need to get a Q-tip and get down in there? Because the spaces are big enough to where I don't need a Q-tip. But you get the gist of it. I'm going to go through and I'm going to get all of the stabilizer from out of there. And then I'm going to sweep my floor up after this. And I'm going to turn this inside out because I want to do a nice trim of the stabilizer in here before I press it down. And then because this is going on a baby item, I am going to use it's kind of like cloud cover. And I can't think of the name of it right now. I get it from all brands, but they have other places. Other places carry it. So I'm just going to trim. I probably could have gotten this neater using bigger scissors. Oh no. But I'm just going to go around the general outline. I'm not trying to get all in between there because I do want this to stay as stable as possible just without having all that extra bulk. Sit that over there. Try to be careful not to cut the actual item. And I do have my iron turned on. And so remember, I still need to iron the back of the cap. I'm going to flip that back out and lay that right here. And I'm just going to press. And I'm going to try not to stretch this because I don't want the cap to be stretched out. I just want the stabilizer to be adhered. And it doesn't take much to do that. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to iron it to press it down and smooth everything out. And now because, like I said, it's going to go on a baby's body and I don't want the stitches to be rubbing up against their belly, I am going to go and get the cover that I use to put on the back of the stitches. Alrighty, so this is the product that I'm talking about. I'm just going to see how much I need, and I want to make sure it goes just a little bit outside of the stabilizer, and I will put it over the back there. So that'll be good there. Bring it down a little bit lower. And there are a couple of different brands of this product. I'll leave some links in the description. But this I did get from All Stitch. And I really want to even that up on the side a little bit. Let's see here. Just so it's not so raggedy looking. Okay, so I'll lay that there just so it will go past the stabilizer. And I'm going to iron it in place all the way down. Some people I have seen use their heat press for this, but the iron works just fine. Okay, and so now that's nice and smooth and it's not going to be rubbing and irritating the baby's skin. So, turn this inside out. I'm not going to worry about the back of the hat because it's already on the inside of the hat. You know, it's in here. It's not going to be rubbing against the baby's head. So I won't worry about that. Now, I do need to go through here and try to get the rest of that water-soluble stabilizer out. That is one piece there. And take your time if you use something sharp. Well, take your time taking this out anyways, because you don't want to mess around and tear your stitches or snag your stitches, okay? Or you could use the method of spraying it. Use a Q-tip to dab around it. I've seen people actually use another piece of water-soluble, spritz it, and then lay a piece down and pull it back up. There are all kinds of ways to get this up, and I'll never say one way is perfect. I'm gonna fasten this up because we want this to look presentable. And one thing I always like to do, let me move this ironing board. Let's see here. I like to use a lint roller. Well, I don't usually use the lint roller on the table, but since I'm going to be changing this strip here anyways, I figure I might as well. Okay, get your lint roller and make sure you get any excess lint off. You know, the light colors pick up everything. And because I did fold this a little bit past the natural fold line that was in the cap, I'm going to just iron this out real quick. Or iron over it real quick, just to get that extra crease out of there. Okay. That'll work. Make sure we get all the lint off. And I do the lint rolling with most things, and I usually don't do it on camera. I just let you know about it. But this is such a small item. I'm like, oh, I'll just go ahead and roll it. And so I don't know how I want to pose that. But this is the hat and the onesie. So that is all I have. I will figure out how I want to actually place this. But if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And until next time, thank you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.